Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks with another tutorial for SylenthTutorials.com. First, if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please sign up at youtube.com/ADSR Tuts. That's Tuts. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a very popular type of sound at the moment. It's used a lot from progressive to a lot of genres of EDM to even pop now. And it's really easy and fun to make in Sylenth. And the reason for that is Sylenth could be a very velocity expressive synth, more so than some other soft synths. But let's play this demo that I have loaded up right now. Right, so it's a pretty cool sound in and of its own. I do have some third-party reverb thrown on that track because I didn't like how Sylenth was working with it. But it's, like I said, it's really expressive. So if I play this on my keyboard real quick. There's a lot of dynamic range to be had with it, which is pretty fun, pretty cool, especially when you're building with this type of sound. So let's just jump into this now. I have an initial preset pulled up here in Sylenth, so it's going to sound weird. But let's go to our oscillator section because we need to generate some tone. So I'm going to crank the voices up to 8, uncheck retrigger, keep it on saw, and don't touch the pitch or the volume or phase. I am going to add some detune, right, because we boosted up the voices. So let's have the voices detuned a little. I'm going to go to about 4.05. So not a huge change in the sound, and that's all we're going to do. Now the amp envelopes can be kind of important for this sound, so the decay I'm going to turn up to about 6.5, just to give it more breath. And the sustain I'm going to turn down, because the way I'm playing it, I don't want a lot of sustain. You can keep this how you need it for how you intend to use this type of sound. I'm going to go to about 3.4. For the release, I'm going to turn up to about 4.4, just to give it some room to kind of ring out in these open spaces here. So if I play this now, right, it kind of rings out. Now in oscillator A2, we are going to select the pulse wave, turn the voices up to 8, uncheck retrigger because we don't want this to be too consistent of a sound, and then pitch this down to -1. Now turn the volume down to about 3.33 because this isn't the bulk of the sound. Oscillator A is. I'm going to add a little bit of phase just to make it not as consistent here. And the detune, I'm going to go up to about 4 again, just like I did with the first oscillator. All right, so it sounds all right now. I'm going to go to my effects section, which is out of order. I usually do the oscillators, the filters, the modulation envelopes, then the effects. But a big chunk of this sound was the distortion. And sometimes I'll play around with that. Like I'll use the distortion as a type of pre-filter almost, even though it's not happening pre-filter for all you guys who'll call me out on this. But it's not like it's happening in the signal flow pre-filter. I just look at it like, oh, I wonder what this would do before I set up my filters. So that being said, I use the decimate filter distortion type. I turn the amount obviously down to about 1.57, I think it was. Just to add a little bit of grit to this sound. Now I'm going to go to my filter A, and I'm going to select a low-pass filter. And for the cutoff, I'm going to turn this down a lot because we're going to use some modulation envelopes to bring these frequencies back in. So I'll turn this down to about 2.3, if you can get there, around 2.35. Now the resonance, I might just boost a little to taste. Whatever sounds good. Like I said, you're going to lose a big part of this sound when we do this, but that's fine because we're going to bring it back in. Now I'm going to turn the drive up and turn this up to 12 dB. All right, right? So not a whole lot of sound. If I turn my master filter up, you'll be able to hear a little bit more. But now we're actually going to we'll keep the master filter at about halfway right now, just so we can hear what we're working with. Because ultimately, we're going to turn this down, but I need to be able to hear it. So go to your modulation envelope now and select the cutoff A. The reason I'm doing this is I want an envelope to control my cutoff filter. or the frequencies that the cutoff are introducing, as opposed to just letting them run freely. So with the cutoff A now, I'm going to add a little bit of attack. I'm going to turn this up to about 1.21 or around there. And I'm going to turn the decay up to about 4.28 if you can get there. Sometimes it won't let you get to that value. We'll go to 4.31 it is. 4.31 it is. All right. So to get this to affect the sound now, I'm going to turn up this rotary knob. Okay, so now we need to turn up the sustain here. So the release, sorry. I'm going to turn this release up to about 5.45 around there so it breathes. All right, so there you can start to hear the sound starting to take shape, right? Now I'm going to do something that I will do from time to time in Sylenth. I will load up another instance of the same cutoff or modulation destination and use the second envelope to kind of create a separate shape that might be having some different controls. Like maybe this won't have the attack up a little, just things like that. And I'll have it kind of be the second modulation point for the filter. So I'm just going to turn this rotary knob up to about 2.8 or around there. Keep the attack down, like I said. The decay, I'm going to turn up to about 3.10. The sustain, I'm going to keep down at 0. And the release, I'm just going to kind of boost up marginally here to about 2.5 or 2.53 if you can get there. Right, so if I turn this down now, it might seem like this is a redundant step, but it really does have an effect on the sound. Let me turn this down to 0. All right, there it is off, and here it is on again. So here it is on to the full value. I mean, that's really what's making like the bulk of that sound happen that we heard in the demo. So you can do one more thing to make it more expressive. Go to your velocity control on the miscellaneous modulation slot and select, we'll do cutoff A. And then I can turn this up a little so it's more expressive. All right, so now what I'm going to do is turn this master filter down to a place where I'm comfortable with it. I'm going to turn on warm drive now and maybe boost the resonance just a little. So now we can go to our effects and I can turn on this reverb again that I had. But I should probably take it to I don't know why it got weird with the preset, but let's go. And you can see here I'm using Valhalla Vintage Verb. Johnny on the ADSR network, I know he uses these and loves them. I love them. If you guys don't have them, you should really get them. They have two reverbs, Vintage Verb and the Room Reverb. They're great. They're like $50. They rival reverbs that cost considerably more money. So check it out if you haven't heard of them, Valhalla. This one has 3 different modes, 1970s, 80s, and now. One's a little bit grittier. One's kind of got that 80s Phil Collins feel. And the now is very shiny and bright. But anyway, I digress. So let's go to our EQ inside of Sylenth. Turn that sucker on. Turn the bass down. We're actually going to do a good amount of EQ here. I'm going to turn the bass down to about 1.93. I'm going to turn this bass frequency up to about 207 hertz. And the treble are around there. It doesn't have to be perfect. The treble I'm going to boost a little, and this treble frequency I'm going to turn down. Just brightening that sound up a little bit, and we're going to go to 2-pole. I'll bring my bass back in now. All right, the delay was a fun part of the sound. I just had it on the ping pong or the delayed, the standard kind of ping pong. You can do all this to taste. It's not super, important to making or break the sound. I had it set to 1/8 or 1/8 note for both left and right. And I did use a little bit of the reverb, but just a pinch. But I didn't like it, which is why I went with the third party, but I'll just turn it off for now. And finally, the compressor inside of Sylenth can sometimes do some magical things to sounds. Otherwise, I will go outside of Sylenth. I'm going to turn the ratio up to about, I think it's like 4.5 If I can get there, if we can do 411 over 1. The threshold, I'm going to turn up a little to about negative 19.57 if you can get there, or close to it. We'll do 19.14 for now. The attack, I'm going to leave pretty much where it is because this is a pretty quick pace sound. I might turn it up just a little bit to give it a little bit more room to breathe, and the release I'll turn down as well. And there you have it. There is the sound, more or less, from the demo, depending on how you have this cutoff, kind of controlled. But I wanted to show you that it's really cool to build with this type of sound. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with this type of sound. The main thing to remember is that the bulk of this magic is happening in the modulation envelopes using two different modulation envelope shapes going into the same filter. A lot of times you'll think to be like, oh, maybe I'm using part A and part B. Let's run modulation into part A and modulation 2 into part B. But sometimes you get really cool results doing slightly different shapes and different values, and even negative values that we could have done here on envelope 2 into the same filter. It's kind of a cool trick inside of Sylenth. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.